Welcome to the Lost World Minutes, the Minute by Minute podcast reviewing 1997 sequel Jurassic Park, 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
And today we're here for a very special episode, recapping and finally getting to our listener week, which has sort of been, it went for 2 weeks eventually, and now a couple of weeks later we're finally getting to the record, but it's good we got here, and we can finally get to some of the listener questions and feedback out there. Because at the end of the day, it's easy for us to sit here and watch a minute and talk about it, but it's the fans out there, it's you listeners, that you're the reason we're here. So we just want to reflect on that with a little bit of a giveaway and getting people's opinions on the Lost World.
15 years ago, John Hammond had a dream. Like John himself, the dream was grand. It was outside, it was bold, it was impractical, it was not to be. Well, half an hour from now, John Hammond's dream, reimagined, will come true.
We spent the week asking a few questions out there on the various social medias and got some interesting answers back. We also got some questions via email that we'll get to at the end. But Dave, if you want, we'll first start off with the Monday question.
Sure.
And this one was, who's your favourite Lost World character? Now, full disclosure, apart from email responses we get a little bit later, all these are from Instagram, so thank you our Instagram listeners. Facebook and Twitter, wake up yourselves. All we heard was crickets from over there, and we know we've got people following us there, so... But good on Instagram, like we're powering on there as well. So, underscore D-Funk, his favourite was Nick, because... he liked the way how he was supposed to be there to be the good guy, but then all the mess that happened on Sauna was his fault.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, yeah, it was his fault. As Malcolm says in the novel, and that how you get the rule of three with things going from bad to worse. They definitely stacked against Nick in the film.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point to bring up, is that really if you take Nick out of the movie, like, the Indians' plan probably would have gone completely the way it was supposed to have gone.
Yeah.
You know? Nobody would have gotten hurt. Nobody would have died in the long grass. You know?
Well, and it's one thing, yeah, because the main pivot point was the sabotaging Indian camp. The harvest camp, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get the explanation really at all. We get the only bit we lean to what InGen's actual plan is was from the deleted scene with Ludlow and the baby T-Rex that was more dialogue heavy in the shooting script, where he actually looks at the infant Tyrannosaur and says they'd never considered getting any carnivores. They were only interested in harvesting herbivores from the island exterior, and they hadn't considered the carnivores yet. With some growth inhibitors and that, they might be able to take the baby Rex back and have it as a multi-million-dollar attraction. Now, that's what ended up happening in the film, but it's never explained at all, unfortunately. But it sort of just goes to show what InGen's doing there, and if the team hadn't sabotaged the camp, the next day, possibly they would have come afoul of the T-Rex and it would have destroyed everything on its own, or something else could have happened, but like that's a different film and that's fan fiction.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, though, is if they had managed to bring over carnivores, because I think that the main reason that they didn't choose carnivores this time around was mainly because, of course, what happened in Jurassic Park, and all those deaths that were caused by carnivores, not herbivores. So Ludlow was at least trying to learn from his uncle's mistakes. Didn't completely, but he tried.
Yeah, yep.
But I think that if the infant had been able to have been brought over, I kind of wonder how long it would have lived in captivity.
Mm.
You know? I mean, how big would it have gotten? How long would it have lived? And would they have also started bringing over more carnivores?
Well, that's the slippery slope that you get onto when you start sort of... Well, we've got this one and it's working fine. Let's let's get a raptor.
Exactly.
We've steered a little bit off course there, but thank you, Defunk. I'm going to butcher the hell out of this. Brady Arcadevico? I'm sorry. Favourite character of Sarah Harding, which agree with you there. Jairus428. It was too many good characters to mention. Be save Ian Malcolm for his character shift, or Roland Tembo for his effortlessly being a badass, which definitely agree there. And we're going to get some good scenes with Roland come up in the next few minutes as well. Because at the point of recording this, we're just about to hit the halfway mark with just about to finish the trailer sequence. So that's just to date this episode of the show. Tom_Laneboy says it has to be Dr. Grant. I haven't seen that cutscene yet, but I'm looking forward to exploring it when we get to it. And and Undertaker.fan said Roland, Ian, and Sarah, which were all good ones. No mention of Dita Stark or Carter. Oh, poor Eddie didn't get a mention either. Oh no, sorry, there's another page.
This was a popular question.
Yeah. And you people, fun names.
Egypticus 33.
That'll do. A type between Ian, Allen, and Muldoon. Again, I haven't seen that cutscene, but I can't wait to get to it. RSV Campbellton. Very cool gallery. So you must be looking at the Facebook or the Instagram photos.
Yeah, this should be the Instagram. Yeah.
Yep, Jurassic Park Palooza, Ian Malcolm and Roland Tembo.
But I believe that's Polska.
Oh, Polska, sorry.
Yes, they're Polish, I think.
Yep. He also loved Larry and Simon Maserati from Jurassic World, which I agree there. I think that was one of the biggest travesties of Jurassic World, was that Maserati got killed off. Jurassic World trilogy, says Dr. Grant. So some people have seen some deleted scenes here that I haven't. So
I think they're mentioning Jurassic Park and The Lost World in here in general.
Yeah, I think they're just general in the franchise.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder there's no Amanda Kirby there anyway. Maybe we should have said disliked character.
Burke, come here. You recognize this trackway?
Yes, I do. Tyrannosaur.
That's not the problem.
What is? What is the problem?
Velociraptors. Our infrared show that their nesting sites are concentrated in the island interior, which is why we plan to keep to the outer rim.
Wait a minute. What's that? Velociraptor. Carnivore. Pack hunter. About 2 meters tall, long snout, binocular vision, strong dexterous forearms, and killing claws on both feet.
And the Rexes may continue to track us, too, if they perceive a threat to themselves or to their infant.
On Tuesday, we sort of moved on from the human to the dinosaur cast and asked what people's favourite dinosaur was. Zachary_Rainey said the T-Rex and then the Raptors. You can do that one again.
Egypticus 33.
Yep. The T-Rexes and the Raptors definitely, so we definitely get some Rex and Raptor love. Jurassic_fanboy, Rexes and the Parasol Office. Mike for me, the Buck T-Rex and the Tiger Raptors, and a small soft spot for the baby Triceratops cameo too. Is that another cutscene I missed?
No, there's...
in the cage.
The baby, yeah, in the cage.
Yep.
Which was reused animatronic from the first movie, of course.
Yep.
Lex was supposed to ride it.
Yep. And I do like here too how he actually mentions the Tiger Stripe Raptors. Just they are my favourite Raptors of the franchise, and just sort of taking what Michael Crichton wrote in the book and putting on screen. I just love them.
And of course that color was absolutely brilliant. It's a real shame that we only got the animatronics really in silhouette in nighttime scenes. We never actually got to see the full beauty of the coloration.
Yeah, well, that's it. I was just looking at some behind-the-scenes stuff for this week's minutes with the trailer hanging over the cliff and that, and just some of the animatronics sitting in Stan Winston Studios, ready to be filmed. Just some beautiful colours on them, and we only got to see them in the darkness most of the time. But CR_Untamed had he liked the compies. It was fun seeing some Jurassic piranhas, which, very good point. It was one thing I was excited for in Jurassic Park 3 when they come back on the scene again. Unfortunately, it's just for a little brief walk by the swamp and then they get gone again. So
Yeah.
I'd hope we do get them sometime again in this new Jurassic trilogy. Whether we do or not, we'll find out.
Oh yeah, I definitely would love to see him back in Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, yep. Mrs. T-Rex, she loves the baby Tyrannosaurus and the Pachycephalosaurus as well. So plenty of T-Rex love. The Parasaurolophus is getting named a couple of times too.
Yeah, I do like that we're getting to see some herbivore love here. We don't get that a lot.
Yeah, yep. And Justin_Whitaker16, his favourite would be the Bull T-Rex. The T-Rex sort of dominates the film, obviously, but we sort of get the herbivores at the start, then don't really get them again after this sequence, really. Or after the camp escape. We do get that.
Then briefly at the end, we get that camera pan, but other than that, no.
And then you only really get the raptors for that very short bit at the end too. So, but nah, they're all good. We went through pretty much our favourites and that for the Lost World Anniversary special. So we're not going to retread too much on that here. If you want to hear, we went for an hour and 45 minutes on some of our favourite parts of the film.
Oh yeah, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
Dr. Mount, here to share a few campfire stories with my uncle.
It's so important to your future that you not finish that sentence, please.
Moving on to Wednesday, we asked what people's favourite scene was from the Lost World. Steggy Berto said the roulette ones, obviously. Not
I think he means Roland ones.
Yes.
There's a bit of an autocorrect there.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Which, when you sort of stack up the Roland scenes, you've got his introduction, even just trying to name the animals and give these team directions, and then just him and RJ hunting the Rex. Like the first half of the film, we get some great stuff out of him, and that definitely continues on to the second half as well as he leads the survivors to the operations building. Thomas Sligman crashing the sleepover, which of course is referring to the Tyrannosaur arriving. Twain Mays also definitely the tent scene where Kelly and Sarah, when they're in the tent, it stuck with him when he was 7 and when he was watching in theatres. The tension, the dark score queuing up, building up. It was hands down his favourite of all Jurassic Park, all the Jurassic films so far, which is great to see. And it built some great tension. Just that animatronic head coming into that tent, like, you couldn't do that with CG at all and have it come off realistic.
No, it was. I think it was really important to have the male animatronics head in there with the actors and to have them actually acting and responding to having this giant, monstrous animatronic right there on top of them.
Yeah, there was a slight aspect of danger, but I'm pretty sure they were on some sort of false floor. I'll have to recheck the behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure they weren't actually on the ground with that above it. They had a floor under them, so if it did come down, it could push them through. But anyway, we'll get to that when we get to that minute.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. You can say that name again.
Egypticus 3.
Egypticus. Oh, I haven't turned up in my mirror. There's so many. The hunters capturing the herbivores, the breakout from the enclosures, the Rex trailer attack, raptors in the long grass, and the abandoned worker village, which are all definite favourites of mine as well. Jaros 428, the roundup, the trailer attack, crashing the sleepover, worker village, San Diego, everything. Perfect answer.
Mike Tharm opening scene, pretty damn grisly and off camera too, which was a good point. There's a lot of implicit horror with that one.
And that's you sort of see now people saying, well, we want to reboot with a more hard R rating. Well, even Spielberg done the first, we've talked about before, the just Nedry's death, how the implied horror there of just being locked in the car with a Dilophosaurus eating your face off. Even sort of Gennaro we sort of see, but even Muldoon sitting there screaming while he's got a raptor on top of him, and you've just got a bit of a palm frond obstructing the view, like.
Then it pans to the eye of the raptor just watching, and then it focusing in on the snake as it slithers by.
Yeah, like that's something like that's more horrific than if you actually seen the blood splatter and that of, and even his Muldoon's guts getting torn open, like. That's just gore for the sake of gore, and that's not always effective.
No, Spielberg did a very good job with the implicit horror of these movies.
Yep. Rallin _Untamed, although it's jumping the shark a bit, always look kind of sick glee in seeing the T-Rex in the San Diego, and also the poor dog while it's there.
I've actually seen that as a criticism for The Lost World, that they didn't like the movie because a dog got eaten.
It's always... Well, there's always that rule: the dog never dies.
Exactly.
And it's like, but again, implied. You see the chain hanging from the dog house, and it's swinging from the Rex's mouth, so you know that dog's in there. But
Well, it was.
It was. But then you sort of a lot of the haters also will just sort of lump the dog and the San Diego scene together and just call out the third act of the film. Or the seemingly fourth act of the film. But lastly, for the question, Jurassic Down Under. Truth is, there is so many awesome scenes in the movie, but I feel that like everyone forgets old Rexy in the city scene. Still to this day, it's not overdone any sort of bad CG. It's clean Spielberg all over. A bus ends up in a video store, classic cinema. Which we'll get to that when they do that stunt, like just what they done to have a CG dinosaur implode a bus and then have it run into the video store.
Yeah, actually, when I was preparing to do the show earlier this night, I was actually looking at clips of the T-Rex attacking the bus, and it dawned on me. The reason he attacked the bus was because of the shape. He recognized the shape from the trailers.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I never realized that before.
Yep.
It was like an epiphany for me.
Because before that, he's sort of is being much like the female in Jurassic Park, sort of exploring, just taking the surroundings, biting that traffic light or the traffic signal and that sort of stuff, and then goes after the bus. But I think there's one, and we'll definitely get to it when we get there. I think my only gripe about the whole city stuff is the Japanese tourists and what that subtitle would have, should have, did say. Because I can't recall I think it's only in the subtitles, but you don't leave Japan to get away from Godzilla to have this happen in San Diego.
It's too late. She's already there. Sarah! She's much too close.
What the hell is she doing? Too close, too close.
The operation has suffered severe casualties, and the survivors are now in mortal danger. I need you to send rescue immediately.
He didn't make it. RJ.
I'm sorry. Ready? I am.
Moving on to Thursday's question, we asked what was your favourite set or prop from The Lost World, and this could have included a vehicle or weapon. I said it 5 times now, I've forgotten again. Egypticus.
Egypticus 3.
Egypticus 3 said the M-Class Mercedes. They're pretty awesome, and so was the Snagger vehicle. Which, yeah, agree. I'd love to have a M-Class Mercedes. Yeah, I've been looking for one. I've seen a couple broken down the side of the road, apparently abandoned, but wrong time, wrong spot, wrong time.
Yeah.
Rovey Harry, the vehicles from the Paraherd chase and the capture scene, which would be all the InGen, the Jeeps, modified Jeeps, the Hummers, and the Unimogs just being Unimogs, because they're pretty cool as they are. Tripping Out Motorsport replied to Rovey Harry.
Rovey Harry.
Yeah. Oh, tongue twister names. We do apologise. I'm trying. And he said, he replied and said that his Jeeps were pretty rad. Mark Vermelt has to be the trailers for sure, which agreed. I've been hanging on for the aficionado and what they've been doing with the trailers post The Lost World. I want more content. And Jurassic Down Under, he commented the 76 ball that we get rolling across the front of Malcolm in his vehicle later on.
Which I have to give points to Jurassic Down Under for originality. That was a pretty good one.
Yeah, yep. And it went on to the backlot for a while too, onto the set. When we get to there, I've been combing through sliders and getting all the set video on that for that, and you can never see the ball, so I don't know when it went in, when it left, but there are some behind the scenes photos of it out there sitting beside the garage, the gas station. And then Friday, for the end of the week, we asked what your favourite track from the score was. Jurassic.cc said there's too many to choose from. It's a 10 out of 10 soundtrack, which I'll definitely agree with. It is my preferred soundtrack of the franchise, but it's probably because it's the one I've listened to most. And it's all the tracks seem to mesh together. Where you get a few tracks, yes, everyone loves the Nedry Steals the Embryos, but it doesn't really mesh with the rest of the score. But I still love love that track anyway.
Nedry Steals the Embryos is almost like a Mission Impossible meets Jurassic Park, which is funny because, of course, John Williams did the scores to both movies.
Well, it's funny, I heard someone say once that the Jurassic Park score feels like John Williams wrote one or two new themes and then went to sort of stuff he hadn't used in previous films, like in Indiana Jones for sure, where sort of Indy comes across the Nazis was definitely when we see the Jeep arrive at the visitor center after the Brachiosaur scene, where you get that very bombastic sort of bit of score, and even Nedry Steals the Embryos. There'd be a couple other tracks in there as well. Like since getting the new John Williams collection with all the extra stuff, I've had it on repeat, trying to get it all in my head. But Nicola _
Like a cake, I think.
Yep.
92.
Yep. The Raptors appear. I love the fast rhythm, the percussions. It catches me all the time, and it fits very well to the scene when the Raptors hunt the survivors. That's one I do like, because you sort of get that slow, ominous, abandoned feeling of the survivors sort of coming into the worker village.
I love the horns that play as the Apatosaurus skeleton turns into those metal piping, and then they enter into the village. It's so bestial. It sounds like a dying animal, which I love, because it's like you're seeing the dying, decaying ruins of InGen, so it fits great.
Yeah, yep, yeah, and it's sort of it's very similar to what we get with when Nick first goes in as well. It's weird though too, because you get sort of the score and then you sort of get the sound effects of just it should be still, there shouldn't be any noise, but just like the squeaking of doors and all that sort of stuff just adds to it as well. And it is one like you got here. Well, you got a lot of sort of like the trumpets and the drums and that through most of it, but just these couple of slow moments where it's just we're finding something or seeing something for the first time. And it's just that eerie, and even those couple of times where we just get that real slow Jurassic Park theme play. And then, of course, as soon as the Raptors jump up on the power pole, it's sort of straight into it, back into the drums, and it sort of it keeps up that high level of pace all the way up until Sarah falls through the window. Then we cut back into the Lost World theme again, but.
Sure, 3745.
Yeah, Journey to the Island, which is a fantastic one. I had it on the original introduction for the podcast. There's a little bit still there as well. Just added to sort of the cinematographic of the barge on the way of the island. You get the reveal of Sauna, and it just sort of it says a lot of the film. Yes, it's Spielberg's version of a King Kong, but there's definitely nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's just here. We're not going to see a giant monkey. We're going to see
big iguanas.
Yeah, big iguanas and 6-foot turkeys that were left to breed on their own and have been flourishing for 4 years. And Jurassic Park podcast said Malcolm's Journey, which again, it's sort of there might be a. I'm sure Jurassic Park podcast, Brad Jost, he'd have the extended soundtrack, but on that original soundtrack that only had the 14 or 13 tracks, sort of Malcolm's Journey and Journey to the Island was sort of merged, I believe, into a 6 minute. I think it was a 6 or 7 minute track. But yeah, definitely you sort of get that that softer music. I don't know if it's pipes or not, as Kelly sort of climbs in the back of the trailer and walks up and you get the reveal of the map of the 5 deaths, and then just that boom, 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 the build up as well. No, I just love the score. All those answers are good.
Don't go into the long grass! Not into the long grass!
When did you last see him?
10-15 minutes.
Come with me. And you. If he's alive, we'll find him. The rest of you keep right on. 10 minutes, you should reach the ridge. Wait for us there. Miss Harley? No one tells the little girl.
Alright, so as well as the questions we asked on the social medias, we also got a couple of people that emailed in a question. We have one here from Matthew, and he
Mhm.
asks, in the Lost World we get to see the hunting patterns of 3 different dinosaurs, the Compies, the Raptors and the T-Rex. Which of their strategies to you was the most effective, and why? So we had the Compies sort of hunting Dita in the creek. We had the T-Rex. I suppose their hunting pattern would have started when they started following the survivors, and the camp attack, and then the Raptors, of course, with the long grass, and then going into the village.
For the copies, their hunting strategy is more swarming and overwhelming through numbers. The Raptors, it's more ambush. It's more they wait for prey to fall into the trap and then spring into the trap. And the T-Rex is it's a different style of ambush. It's more like the T-Rex in the first Jurassic Park movie, where we see them kind of bursting from the tree line.
Yep.
I guess, and chasing down the prey.
Well, I suppose using that as an example too, just because it's the only other real T-Rex attack or hunting we've seen, it's getting it as close as it can to its prey quietly before sort of springing the trap. And we see when it gets to the camp, there's no ripples in the water. There's none of that. There's just you get the shadow on the tent. It sort of sticks its head in. It's not making a lot of noise. And again, it's not until someone starts screaming and it realises the jig's up that lifts its head and makes a lot of racket. And that's when the partner comes in and they start doing. But my favourite would be the Raptors and just the hunting in the long grass, because we've seen it from the very first movie. Grant sort of explains the other 2 Raptors you didn't even know that were there. And we did see that with Muldoon to perfect effect and how they hunt. And it's just good to see that these wild ones sort of still have that instinct as well, and that's probably how they hunt, even though there's more than 2.
Yeah, if you're going to take effectiveness and apply it to how many kills, the Raptors are definitely the winners, just because the T-Rex was able to get 1 or 2 kills, the Compies got a kill, but the Raptors, they got all of them.
Yeah, because the Compies sort of, for their size, yes, it's sort of, if they can swarm in numbers, but that's only good it's good for a human. I don't know, maybe some baby animals, but I can't see 100 Compies bringing down a raptor, for instance.
No.
Because yes, they can swarm in numbers, but they've still only got such a bite force, and the tiny little jaws and teeth. It's sort of, it'd be more stealing eggs, or just scavenging on carcasses, because they'd be able to eat a lot more meat off a carcass than what was left behind by a larger animal.
Yeah.
And I suppose, sadly, apart from the sort of the T-Rex following the scent of the baby to the survivors' camp, I don't know if you'd call it hunting or not. Hunting behaviour. It's more, as Sarah said in the trail, it's not hunting, it's searching. They're wanting their infant, so sadly we don't really get a T-Rex hunting scene like we did in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Which 2 of them, come on, we could have had something special there. But thanks, Matt, for that email. I hope we've answered it the best we can.
Compies been presumed to be scavengers, like jackals.
Gives me the creeps. It's like it's not scared.
There haven't been any visitors to this island. There's no reason for it to fear man.
Now it does.
Did you find him? Just the parts they didn't like.
Okay, we got another email from Andrew, and he asked, with news on rights reverting back to the Crichton family after Jurassic 6, do you see the franchise continuing rebooting or going back to Crichton and being left alone? I don't know. Has that even been confirmed?
What I've always heard, and this was way back on the Jurassic Park Legacy days, was that Universal was contracted with the Crichton family for 6 movies.
Yep.
I'm not sure about TV shows, comics, games, anything like that, but I do know that it was, or at least what I've always heard is 6 movies, and then the rights go back to the Crichton Foundation.
I wonder, post The Lost World, how much that contract would have stayed. Because once, Crichton come on to do some script work in Jurassic Park 3, but by then he was pretty much... and even the films had sort of left his vision behind, so at that point it wasn't so much of using Crichton's ideas and needing his blessing to do so. Although we did get some similarities in scenes in later films as well, but so whether Universal can keep the license after Jurassic 6 or whatever happens there, that's up in the air. As for our thoughts on continuing / rebooting, I Jurassic World was fine as just as a revisit to the world. It's a wonder it even got off the ground. Now it's failed. I can't see any more parks, and we've got to see what Fallen Kingdom's going to do. They've sort of trying to expand the universe here, but I don't see how any civilized country would allow the park to be built anywhere else.
No.
And there's been, I see it daily, people saying how they'd love to see it rebooted with the following the novels more. But then you've got the time, sort of, because there's a lot of content in both books.
They did them in a way, I'd say, actually.
Yeah.
Like, in the first Jurassic Park movie, they mentioned, or book, I'm sorry, that they used 3 Cray supercomputers, and nowadays a Cray supercomputer is like less equivalent to a crappy smartphone.
Well, that's exactly right. If they were to go off the books, they'd have to make it a period piece, really, for 89. The book sort of 89. It'd have to be around there somewhere. I'm pretty sure most of the computer readouts that are in the book have all got June of 89 on the date tags on
it.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. So, but even that, like the control room, it's got to look like NASA space control, but it's got to have CRTs and CRTs and a glass map on one end with all the blinky dots. Well, yes, that's sort of space agey, but no one's going to believe a high tech. Like, you imagine Jurassic World with CRTs in it. It's like, okay, you spent all your money on the dinosaurs and you didn't spend any money on security. But then, and the Land Cruisers...
They're no expense.
Yeah. The Land Cruisers and all that, and sort of...
Yeah, I mean, really, who uses Toyota Land Cruisers anymore? Does Toyota still make them?
Yeah. There's quite a few here in Australia. They're one of our highest selling vehicles.
Really?
Yep. Not so much the Sahara or the GXL wagon, but more of the trayback or the trayback trucks and.
Oh yeah, that I can imagine.
Yep, and the family sort of wagon SUVs. They're highly popular over here just because of their ruggedness and they can put up with our terrain a lot better. But that's one major problem that I think a lot of people aren't really thinking about when they say, "Oh, let's just do it." The books. And as I said earlier, sort of the length as well. People said, well, make it into a TV series, make a 13-episode run for Jurassic Park and the same for The Lost World. But you got to sort of look at what happened with TV, and we're going to get to that with the next question, is the budget's not there. And you end up having something like Terra Nova where it's set there, but you don't see a lot of dinosaur action because they can't pay for the special effects.
I think that if it was to be a mini-series, like on HBO or Showtime or something like that, the budget would be there. Just because, I mean, shows like Game of Thrones alone are really big budget. I mean, the things you can do with even low budget kind of sci-fi series on TV nowadays is phenomenal. I mean, look at Orville. I mean, sure, it's not anything stellar, but it's believable enough to the point where the shows can survive on that.
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose that'd also depend on how much Universal backed it too. If it had full Universal backing, surely they've got the assets sitting on a drive somewhere.
Oh, of course. They have to hire anybody to actually design them. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Unless, of course, they started going with new dinosaurs that we hadn't seen before, which, of course, Pterodactylus, Styracosaurus, which we didn't see in the book, I don't think, but it was mentioned.
Well, even the Microceratops jumping through the trees in the Jungle River, stuff like that.
Yeah, the Hypsilophodon, the
Hadrosaurs.
The Athnelias.
Then you got the non-dinosaurs too. You got the pterosaurs and the aviary. You got the Pteranodons. You got the big dragonflies as well. Stuff like that.
Oh yeah. I always forget that was mentioned on Jurassic World. I mean, in the book Jurassic Park was those giant. What was it, like Megaloceros or something like that? I can't remember the name of those. Giant dragonflies were.
Yeah. And that's sort of one of those things too. In the book, it's sort of established a lot more as InGen haven't just cloned the dinosaurs. They've brought sort of the Jurassic period back. Even Ellie sort of touches on it with the whole plant thing. But in the book, they've got Jurassic era plants planted around the lodge and that. And that's where she sort of brings in, well, these plants are dangerous. Yeah, they look good, but
if a kid would take a mouthful, at the end of it.
Yeah, rub up against and get, and even...
Interestingly, still applies to plants today. Today this last summer, we actually planted these beautiful lilies. A stalk shoots out of the side of it every couple of weeks during the summer. And it blooms this beautiful ball of lilies. And it's like a 12-inch ball of nothing but lily blooms.
Yeah.
But I ended up looking it up, what it was finally. And it was a spider lily, also known as a poison lily. And this thing is like, if a kid were to take a mouthful of the plant, he'd die.
Yeah.
And we're just thinking, we just picked it because it looked pretty and it had a nice smell. We had no idea.
These are living, breathing things that have no idea what century they're in, and they'll defend themselves violently if necessary. So, yeah, as much as I'd love to see the novels on screen, I don't. Not unless they sort of leave it, just like Jurassic World, just let it sit for 10, 15 years and then sort of look at it again. Give new fans time to come into it. Yeah, give us a comic or something to tie us over in the meantime.
A good comic, though. I mean,
yeah.
Let's face it, the Jurassic Park has not had a good history with comics.
Yep. No, but thanks for that question, Andrew.
Peter, if you want me to run your little camping trip, there are two conditions. Firstly, I'm in charge, and when I'm not around, Dieter is. All you need to do is sign the checks, tell us we're doing a good job, and open your case of scotch when we have a good day. Second condition, my fee. You can keep it. All I want in exchange for my services is the right to hunt one of the Tyrannosaurs. A male, a buck only. How and why are my business. Now, if you don't like either of those two conditions, you're on your own. So go ahead, set up base camp right here, or in a swamp, or in the middle of a wreck's nest, for all I care. But I've been on too many safaris with rich dentists to listen to any more suicidal ideas. Okay. Okay.
And lastly, we've got one from Mitch. And he asked, do you think another dinosaur franchise could exist in a Jurassic World? With the Jurassic films hopefully ending at part 6, so he's on board with my wanting them to see them end. At part 6, could another dinosaur series be made? And are the Jurassic dinosaur designs copyright? Now, I asked you this the other day when he submitted it, because when Crash McCreery done the art for Jurassic Park, he was going off Horner and sort of paleontologists at the time what they perceived dinosaurs to be. No longer these animals dragging their tail on the ground, and sort of really revolutionised the look of dinosaurs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have to say one of Gary's one of his biggest influences would have been Gregory S. Paul, which we of course know that both Crichton and Spielberg referenced for the movie, and you can definitely see in his artwork the way that the way the skin clings to the bone, the way the muscle is done, the shape of the bodies, and even the snouts on the T-Rex are all very, very reminiscent of the way Gregory S. Paul draws his dinosaurs.
Yep.
And so I know that Universal wanted to make the dinosaurs in a way that they could copyright it, but I don't know if they were ever successful. I don't know if they succeeded or if somebody told them it's a dinosaur, you can't just copyright it.
Well, I could tell you one that'd have the best shot at, and that'd be Blue. Just because of the look, the colour variation.
Yeah.
But then, like the JP Free Raptors, they were sort of stood alone as well until you seen them in that fair or that thing you visited a couple of weeks ago, where they had the straight up redone of them, copyrighted. But
yeah,
it's an interesting one. I'd love to find out if it actually was, because you sort of look at a lot of dinosaur art today, and a lot of it is sort of whether it stays away because they just don't want to go anywhere near sort of the Jurassic art, or I suppose one of the big ones too is a lot of people throwing feathers on various animals as well, just to sort of make that gap a bit wider. But I had a look, and even sort of more memorable stuff like the I don't even think they called it T-Rex in not Michael Jackson, Peter Jackson's King Kong in 2007. Isn't it?
That was a V-Rex.
V-Rex.
Vastosaurus Rex.
Okay.
It's supposed to be like what if T-Rex had a descendant today? It'd be bigger, the arms would be smaller, it'd be meaner, gnarlier, nastier.
Yep.
I think that's basically what they were going for there.
And I suppose too, you're going to an Island of Monsters, you're not going to get exact representations of what you know animals to be. So that's sort of one, but also other stuff, and I don't know why this never happened, probably because of Jurassic, but back in the 90s when Resident Evil and Capcom released all those games, we got Dino Crisis, which I hadn't played. It's one I didn't get for the PlayStation 1, but I was sort of really wanted to, and I still hope to get it one day off eBay, but I was sort of under the thinking that it sort of followed the same as Jurassic Park, how a lab goes awry of cloning animals and they get used for weapons or whatever, but apparently it's got time travel in it. I was just looking at the wiki, and they're trying to make a new power source, and a result of that power source experiment sort of opens a rip in space-time, and they get some animals come through that they decide to use as weapons. And then Dino Crisis 2, it's sort of the whole town gets sent back to prehistoric past, and they got dinosaurs running everywhere. But why it wasn't made into a movie when Resident Evil and Silent Hill and other Capcom properties were, I'd assume is because of Jurassic.
Now, honestly, going back to the copyright thing, I have to say that I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure if Universal could copyright the dinosaurs. That I'm not sure how much they defend the copyright if they did, because I mean, you see the Jurassic Park T-Rex on everything. I mean, you see it on knockoff toys. I've seen it on Christmas ornaments sold in Toys R Us.
Yep.
I've seen somebody went out and took a picture of the Universal Studios T-Rex, the one that's over the car in Florida, and photoshopped it onto a box that was of disposable cameras that were sold exclusively at the Field Museum. I mean, it's just how strongly can they defend their copyright if they can defend it at all?
Yeah, yep. It'd be like I haven't seen the movie, and I don't think I got the title right. There was the Nazis on the moon, then there was the sequel where the Nazis are in the center of the earth. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, but even
not I've seen, but I heard about it.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's Hitler or not. But one of the Nazis is riding a T-Rex. I seen in the trailer. Now, if that was if that was the straight up Jurassic T-Rex, would Universal probably distributed the movie, so it would have been alright. But sort of, yeah, would that have been an issue? Because even sort of another major franchise that existed, I thought, Dinotopia. I, for the life of me, thought Dinotopia was from the 40s or 50s and just that old, back in the golden age of paleontology where it was sort of celebrating that. I had no idea that the first book only came out in 92, which, considering Jurassic Park went into pre-production in 91, it's sort of come out at probably the right time. But even that franchise, like, I thought I had it here, but I don't. I think there's over 40 books in the series written, just the adventures on the island of Dinotopia. They tried for a movie, they tried for a TV series, and sort of same thing again. They didn't have a overly large budget, but for the most part, a lot of the dinosaur stuff sort of worked, as far as I've seen anyway. But but I've got a couple of the books, and I just love the art and that sort of stuff, and that sort of existed alongside Jurassic. Probably more so people thought, oh, this is something else with dinosaurs, and then realised it's not dinosaurs attacking anyone. So got off the bandwagon again. But I don't know if there could be anything that sort of exists in people and just called a knockoff of Jurassic Park. It doesn't help when Spielberg puts his name to it, like Terra Nova, where it's if Jurassic Park was if the people were actually back then and not the dinosaurs here. But yeah, don't know.
Yeah, the funny thing is that it's funny that you mentioned that zombies versus dinosaurs movie, because I remember seeing the trailer, but I also remember seeing that they had digitally inserted cutscenes from The Lost World, like when the T-Rex roars at the camera in the camera in Lost World, after he sees the baby.
Yeah.
You can see they actually superimpose that behind a Nazi shooting at it, a zombie Nazi. So it was like, I mean, seriously?
So they're blatantly using the footage as well. So.
Oh, they blatantly used the Jurassic Park footage, yeah.
Yeah, but because then maybe the copyright could go more to the theme, whereas like Dinotopia was essentially a lost world where the animals had survived. The whole Jurassic, the whole backbone of it is scientists cloning from amber. If you take sort of that away from your story, how do you even explain the existence of the animals? As soon as you try and do anything cloning wise, that's going to be seen as a knockoff.
I think that is a good point, because I do remember, I mean, frankly, I was a kid, so I mean, you can let it go a little bit, but when I was a kid, I used to consider that, this is I played dinosaurs in either two categories: Jurassic Park dinosaurs and not Jurassic Park dinosaurs. And I remember that for me, most dinosaurs could be Jurassic Park dinosaurs if they looked close enough to them. Like any brown T-Rex with big nasal snout and brow ridges was a Jurassic Park dinosaur.
Yep.
And I remember when I was a kid, there was a dinosaur book I had called Dinosaurs, the Biggest, Fastest, Meanest, Baddest, or something like that. I'm sure if you ever had or heard of it.
Okay.
Fastest. And in there was a 1997, I think it was an oil painting or something like that, but it was a painting of these velociraptors by this guy named Patrick O'Brien. I can't find anything about him online. But it was, I mean, this could have been mistaken as fan art for The Lost World. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, these were straight up The Lost World raptors. There was no denying it. Yeah, I'll post the picture up online when this episode goes live.
Yep. That'll be good to see. It's one of those things. If it's good, why not replicate it?
Yeah, really. Yeah. And of course, then there's also the book I had. Look inside a T-Rex. It was like every page was a different bodily system of a T-Rex.
Like an X-ray.
Yeah, it was like plastic bits inside a page, and I remember the illustrations of the T-Rex in there were straight up Jurassic Park. Yeah. I mean, it had the green with the black lines and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pretty much any green T-Rex with black lines or brown T-Rex with nasal snout was Jurassic Park.
Yeah. All right, so I think we answered that one for you, Mitch.
Quite thoroughly, found it.
Yeah. So it's good to see, and sort of getting back to Andrew's question before, is just sort of what happens post Jurassic 6, film wise. It's not Star Wars. There's not this massive universe to expand on. And I suppose we're gonna have to see what this whole Lockwood situation is as well in Fallen Kingdom to see what they're going to expand there. But I just want to see how they're going to turn around and say, well, this person was involved back then, yet no one ever mentioned, he never come forward, or anything like that. I don't know how many times they can keep doing that before you just sort of roll your eyes and go, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Simply put, InGen is seeking limited partners to defray some of our expansion costs. The prospectus you've been given by the board explicitly details our projected hardware and construction expenses, and as you can see by my two friends here with me tonight, software is already fully developed. One might say they've been up and running.
Anyway, to the moment that everyone's been waiting for and probably skipped to, prize time. Everyone that submitted a question and everyone that commented on the various social, on Instagram, I won't keep saying the various social medias because it was Instagram. You got a number assigned to your name, and that went to the random number generator. I've got a deck of the Jurassic Park Tops trading cards here. I think it's card 1 to 105, which is just the standard run, not the holographic or none of the other behind the scenes cards. We've got a set of them. I can't believe how hard it is to get the Lost World cards. I still haven't even got a complete set yet. I've got about 5 or 6 sets of the Jurassic Park ones. I went on eBay to try and find a set to give away, and I think it was nearly $100. So not going to do that. But ran the random number generator, and we just thought it was easier going that way than going participation, because we could sit here and go, well, who submitted the best question or the best answer? And I know I couldn't pick one, so we'll leave it to the random number generator. And the winner is Mitch, who sent in the email with that last question. So I'll email him back as soon as this episode goes up, and get the address and get them sent out to you. I don't know where he possibly is, America, so we'll see how we go there. But thank you everyone that did submit questions. We did get a couple of questions come in sort of afterwards that we've already answered on the main show, but it's just great to engage with the listeners and hear what you have to say about the film. Dave, anything else you want to bring up?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with minute 59 and 60, the halfway point, next week.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, half an hour from now, John Hammond's dream, reimagined, will come true. For 1/100th the cost of building a destination resort thousands of miles away.
I believe I've spent enough time in the company of death.
All right, guys. Let's get the hell out of here.
Tonight we'll christen Jurassic Park San Diego with a mega attraction and drive turnstile non-stop of any theme park.
Site means not only a theme park, but a research station. This was where we did the real work.
What do you think you were going to document? What do you think you were going to see?
It is absolutely imperative that we work with the Costa Rican Department of Biological Preserves to establish a set of rules for the preservation and isolation of that island. These creatures require our absence to survive, not our help. And if we could only step aside and trust in nature,